So in this video we are going to hide our password from the user, because when the user enters his password, the password is shown. So we don't want that, and we will have to set it up. So in our previous video we have made our input field. Okay, so now we are going to edit our input field and hide our password. Okay, so what we want to do is that we want to hide the password only for our password field. Okay, so we can do this in two ways. We can pass in a variable, and we can get that variable from the user and set the state of our field according to that variable. Okay, and the next thing, the second way we can do that is that we can check the hint text, and if the value of hint text is equals to password, in both our sign up screen and login screen we have given the password. So the password, we have given the password to our hint text, so we can check that if the hint text that is provided from the user is password. Okay, so we are going to check that. We are going to set it as obscure text, and what we are going to do is that we are going to check that if the widget dot hint text is equals to password. Okay, okay, so if the value is password, we are going to hide the text in our field. Okay, so let me just make it true, else we are going to make it false. Okay, so this will work fine. Okay, and let's just wait for our app to restart. Okay, so this is the email field, the text is showing, and this is the password field. Okay, so what we want to do next is that I also want an icon that we can press to check that the password that we have entered. Okay, so what we can do for that is that I'm going to make a variable over here as bool show is equals to true. Okay, so what we are going to do is that, let me just make it as false. So this will mean that initially, or we can just say that is showing. Okay, so that just makes more sense. Okay, so what we are going to do is that we are going to check the value, we are going to check that if the text field, okay, so is the text field a password field? So if it's a password field, we are going to use the value of is showing. Okay, okay, so the next thing we want is that we want to use an icon so that we can press to show and hide our password. So to do that, we are going to use a suffix icon, and we are going to use an icon button. We are going to use an icon button which will have an on pressed, and let me just remove it. Okay, and the next thing will be an icon, and it will contain an icons dot I. Okay, so what we want to do is that in our on press we want to set the value of our is showing to the negation of the value it has. Okay, so what we want is that is showing on press, we are going to set the state, because this is a stateful widget, so we can set the state as is showing is equals to negation of is showing. So if the value of is showing is true, it will set it to false, and if it's false, it will set it to true. And the next thing we want is that in our is showing, what we want to do is that we want to, or let me just rename it to okay, so let me just rename it to is hidden. Okay, and let me just make it true, because initially our input field should be hidden. We want to hide the text in there. Okay, and the next thing we want is that we want to check that is hidden equals to is if the is hidden is true, what we want to do is that if it's the is hidden is true, we want an icon that we can press, that we can show to unhide our text. So what we can do is that we want to show the icon of an eye. Okay, so this will mean that we want to enable, or we want to see the password. As what we can do is that we want to show up icons dot password. Okay, so yeah, this is done. And the next thing I want over here, let me just rerun my app and let me show you. Okay, let's just wait for our app to run. And yeah, okay, so in the email it's just showing, as well as in the password. Let's just set it from a bit late. Okay, so in the password field it is hiding my text, and when I click on it, it is showing my text. Okay, so yeah, it's working fine. So the next thing I want is that in the email I don't want this icon. So what we can do is that we can check the same condition that we checked previously. In the suffix icon, we can check that if the hint text is password. Okay, so if the hint text is password, we will show an icon button, otherwise we will just set it to none. Okay, so let's just wait. And okay, so it's working fine. Okay, so let's just the password is showing. I want to hide it, so if I want to see my password again, I can do this. Okay, so yeah, it's working fine. And in the email it's not showing. Same is the case in our sign up screen. Okay, and if I do this, my password is hidden, and if I want to see, the password is shown. Okay, so that's all for now, and we will continue in our playlist from our next video.